Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare
Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari,
Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari,
Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari,
Jaya Radha Madhava,
Jaya Kunja Bihari.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear Vaishnavas, thank you so much for joining. So, this is the third session in the series of demons in Krishna Lila and the demons within. So, before we start, we would like to do a quick recap and then do the Manglacharan and then start with the today's two demons. So, let's do a quick recap. Anyone remembers what was the first demon we discussed and what demon inside our heart he or she represents?
Prabhuji, first demon Mataji discussed was Shakatasura, and he represents bad habits.
Okay. Yeah, well, Shaktasura was the second one technically. In the first session, we discussed the first one, which was Putana. So anyone can tell Putana, what does she represent? Besides Vilas Prabhu, remembers? What does Putana represent? Okay, Angela.
Putna represents pseudo guru, and pseudo guru could be externally or internally. Internally, it can be our mind, and externally, any person who is claiming himself to be guru but is not bona fide would be pseudo guru.
The next was the Shakatasura, the card demon. And as Sulas Prabhu mentioned, it represents bad habit, a lot of baggage, past habits, which just kind of hampers our progress in spiritual journey. And it kind of inhibits us from taking to the pure message.
Yeah. So Shakatasura also, because of lack of time, previously we didn't go a little bit in detail, but it represents previous baggages, as we discussed, previous baggages, bad habits, the loads that we are carrying, in our hearts, in our minds. So it can take the form of habits, or it can be some wrong philosophies, wrong ideas, misconceptions, perversion of the original Vedic culture, and attachments to different people or things in our life. Some, it could be some in the form of friends, family, relatives, who are not helping us in Krishna consciousness but are taking our attention. So when they when they're coming to us, our Krishna consciousness is going down, then we should limit our association with them. So these becomes our baggages. It's like, a boatman is trying to row the boat, but it forgets the anchor, to pull off the anchor. So we cannot move forward in this journey of Krishna consciousness if we have not pulled our anchor of baggages and attachments, which are not conducive for Krishna consciousness, wrong philosophies. It's like a student going to the teacher and saying, please teach me music. And teacher says, do you know something? And he says, yeah, I know something. I learned from here, there, etc. From my parents, from my this, from that. And teacher say, okay, your fees is $200. And then the other student comes and he says, I don't know anything. Please teach me music. And teacher says, your fees is $100. And so what is the difference? Because it takes time to remove the previous wrong ideas or wrong habits that would have developed in the fingers or the technique of playing the music or singing. Then that becomes the baggage. So it takes more time. So our heart has to be empty so that the story of pure devotional service can be written by the authorities, by the process itself. Otherwise, we are stuck. And so we have to understand what is our baggages. Also represents laziness. And, we may be lazy to do our things in the day, during the day. So that also has to be taken care of, because Bhaktisana Saraswati Thakur is very strong about this fact that the devotee cannot be lazy. Devotees have to be very active in Krishna consciousness. You cannot be just lazing around. Yeah, things will happen. Krishna will take care. I can just chant some rounds here and there. That is not what is the mood of Bhaktisanta Saraswati Thakur. He wants us to be always engaged in Krishna consciousness. So this is what Shaktasura represents. Also, Lord Chaitanya says this is very important because it has been quoted with respect to pure devotional service. He says in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Asat Sanga Tyag Ei Vaishnav Achar. So what is the attribute of a Vaishnav is that it leaves off all the bad association. So we may have certain attachments to people, to things, to different things, the different things that we are exposed to in our life in this and the past. We have to get rid of them, the association, because that is what a Vaishnava is represented by. And interestingly, Rupa Goswami states that twice in Nectar of Devotion. So it is of prime importance. In text 2 also he mentions, and text 3 also he mentions that we have to give up the association which is not favorable for Krishna consciousness. And as we discussed, this is also the symptom of surrender towards the Supreme Lord. There are 6 symptoms of surrender, and this is one of them. Anukulyasya sankalpa pratikulyasya vajana. So this is what is Shaktasura.
Thank you. So the next demon, the third demon we discussed was Trinavrata. Anyone remembers what Trinavrata represents inside our hearts? So Trinavrata basically represents false learning or so-called learning, which leads to argumentation, debate. Hey, I know better, I know more verses, I am more intelligent, etc. And what happens? It goes up and up and up and up. Humility is missing. Vidya dadati vinayam. Knowledge is supposed to make one humble, but this false knowledge or pride due to knowledge can make one go up and up and up. And one will think, oh, I am great scholar, I am great this, I am great that. And one will then just be choked by Krishna, and then the false pride will be crushed. So we should be very careful. Yes, we have to read. Yes, we have to hear. Yes, we should try to memorize verses. But all the goal is not to prove I'm better than anyone else, but to become humble, but to understand the mood of devotion and humility. So that's Trinavrata. So these were the demons we discussed, these 3 last time or in the last 2 sessions. So today we will discuss the next 2. But before that, let's do the Mangalacharan prayers. Om Jnanatimidandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vachakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschat Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Guruvi Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha Mukham Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langate Girim Yatkrapatamaham Vande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Chaitanya Radha Samuni Chaitanya Radha Chaitanya Radha Samuni Radha Das. So thank you so much for joining. We'll be dealing with two more demons today in part 3 of this whole session, and we should try to memorize what each demon represents, because it is so important. Because first we have to identify with it identify it within ourselves, and secondly we have to also deal with it and understand how to deal with it. And the third thing is, the solution is actually, most of the pastime, the solution is meditating on how Krishna liberated each of the demon, and so for asking for help. So until unless we know what demon is residing within us, and as we mentioned in the first part of this session, that Adi Gadadhar Prabhu mentioned, that these demons will be encountered by each and every one of us. This is our onward journey towards Krishna, and we will get these obstacles. So therefore it becomes very, very necessary to memorize, identify, deal with it, and meditate on these pastimes to deal with the anarthas which are within us. So first, after we saw Trinavarta was the last demon, the last session, and that time Krishna was 1 year, 1 day old. And so after that pastime, as Krishna was growing, this Damodar Lila happened in Gokul itself. And that time, Nalakuvera and Manigriva were liberated. So Nalagriva and Nalakuvera are the next demoniac personality or demoniac propensity that we would be dealing with today. And the Nalakuvera and Manigriva are not necessarily demons; they are demigods. But they are harboring demoniac propensities within themselves, and that is why we are discussing them in this session. Because ultimate aim is to kick off these demonic propensities.
So Nalakuvera and Manigriva represent another of our anartha that we can get, and therefore we'll be discussing that pastime. But before that pastime, we'll discuss Vatsasura's liberation, which is the next demon. And it is also the first demon which will be killed in Vrindavan. Till now, we were in Gokul. So after this, Nalakvera and Manigriva were liberated. There was a meeting held by Upananda. Upananda is the eldest brother of Nanda Maharaj. There are 5 sons, and Upananda is the 5 brothers, and Upananda is the oldest. And but Nanda Maharaj is the leader of Vrindavan or the Brajvasis. And it was on the request of Upananda that Nanda was crowned as the leader. So we see the dynamics between the community and the brothers, that it was so harmonious that there was no enviousness. So this is a whole big topic which we can discuss in great detail, and we will not go because of the limitation of the time. We will not discuss that pastime, but still there is a great lesson embedded in that pastime. When the meeting was held and everyone came together and they were thinking that what should we do, and because there are demons coming, Krishna is just a baby, and so many demons have already come. These 2 big trees fell. What should we do? What should we do? And Upnanda suggested, okay, let's go to Vrindavan. This is a beautiful place with lots of greenery, lots of beautiful nature. Yamuna's water is there. Govardhan Hill is there. So let's go there. And so everybody started for Vrindavan. And so before that, lots of different pastimes happened after the deliverance of Nalakuvera and Manigriva. Lots of beautiful pastimes happened where Krishna was increasing the love of the Vrajavasis. Krishna was interacting it in such sweet manners with his superiors that it was just increasing their love more and more for the Supreme Lord. Also, after that, the fruit vendor pastime happened, and Krishna Balram would play for hours and hours, and Mother Yashoda and Rohini would have to, really work hard and use their wits to bring Krishna and Balaram back to home. So there's so many different pastimes, and then finally this meeting happened, and then they decided to go to Vrindavan. So this is the first demon which will be liberated after moving out of Gokul Mahavan. And this demon was liberated in the forest of Bhadravan, which is the eighth principal forest of the 12 forests in Vrindavan. And there's a saying in the scriptures that whoever goes to this Bhadravan will have undeviated, single-pointed attraction towards the Supreme Lord Krishna. So all these forests represent some beautiful benediction. They give beautiful benediction. So when we go, we can meditate on these pastimes and the benediction that it can offer to us. So as Krishna and Balram were growing and they started to walk, and they were made in charge of the calves. They became the calf herd boys, as His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj says, not cow herd boys, but calf herd boys for time being. And they were being given training how to take care of the calves, because this is what the Vaishya community does. This is what Nand Maharaj would do. And so they're training their children. And Prabhupada writes in the purport that there's no need for sending children to schools and colleges, and that knowledge is practically useless in practical life for most of the things, and at the same time it still leads to unemployment. Still so many people are unemployed, so what's the point of studying so much? Instead, do something which is more practical and valuable to life. And so Krishna and Balram were being trained in this taking care of the cows, and therefore they're called Gopals and Govind, because they take care of the cows. So then this Vatsasura was the pastime itself is really, really small, but the understanding of Vatsasura mentality is very deep. So anyway, when they were grazing the calves one day, Krishna and Balram were playing, and the Vatsasura got mixed with the other calves. He was the calf demon. Vatsa means calf, and Asura means demon. So it got mixed with the other calves, and then Krishna Balram didn't realize because they were playing that time. And then who is it? Vatsasura. First of all, we can understand that. So Vatsasura was a demon in the previous life. I mean, still demon with calf and the demonic propensities. So this was a demon, and as we know, demigods and demons often get into fights. And so after conquering the demigods once, Pramila, he was called Pramila, he was the son of Asur Muru. And this Pramila, after conquering the demigods, went to the Vashishta Muni's ashram. And he saw the Kamadhenu cow there. The Kamadhenu's cow's name was Nandini. So he desired to have Nandini, the cow, for his own benefit. Now, what is the use of a cow in the life of a demon? When a Brahmana sees a cow, he knows that cows should be loved, cared for. They will give us milk, then we will churn yogurt, then we will make butter, and then we will make ghee and offer in the oblations to the fire. Fire sacrifices they do, they will offer as oblations. But what is the use to a demon? So demons use it for slaughtering, to eat flesh and blood of that particular animal. So that is why Pramil desired to have the Nandini. So he transformed himself into a Brahmana. We know the demons are apt. They're very skillful in transforming their forms into another form because of the mystic siddhis. And so he transformed himself into a Brahmana. Now, if he would have gone in his original form, Vashishta Muni would have recognized, and there would be great fight over it, and he would not give to a demon because he knows the intention of a demon. So he transformed himself into a Brahmana, because when a Brahmana would go to another Brahmana, and one Brahmana has more cows, and if Brahmana asks, okay, give me please one cow, I will also do some sacrifices, and Brahmana will give. So that was the intention. He transformed himself into a Brahmana, and then approached Vashishta Muni and begged for cow. Now, Vashishta Muni is a self-realized personality. He had a divine vision. He could foresee this person is not a Brahmana. Now, if he tells something, then there'll be a big fight. Now, what should he do? So he stood silent. He didn't say, I will give you the cow, or I will not give you the cow. He just stood silent there. And in the meantime, Nandini, the cow, spoke. Hey, you are a demon, the son of Muru. You have assumed this Brahmana's form to steal Vashishta Muni's cow, that is me. And therefore, I curse you to become a calf. So the Nandini cursed Pramil to become a calf. And Pramil immediately took the form of a calf. And as we know, then he felt sorry. He wanted to beg forgiveness. So he asked forgiveness from Vashishta Muni, circumambulate Vashishta Muni. He offered obeisances. He said, please, please, relieve me of this curse. Internally, he was thinking, well, will I get the demon's body, my original demon's body? That's what his intention. So he said, save me, Vashishta Muni, please save me. But Nandini said, okay, because she's the one who cursed Pramil, said, okay, you, O greed demon, at the end of Dwapar Yuga, you will be grazing amongst the cows, and then at time you will be liberated from this body. So then Kamsa, we come to Dwapar Yuga, we flash forward the story, come to Dwapar Yuga. So Kamsa called for a meeting in the court with his ministers, and he asked, does anyone realize that, what is the most dear thing to Krishna? What animal is the most dear to Krishna? So everyone unanimously said, it's cows, 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 because Krishna is called Gopal, Krishna is called Govind, so it's cow, cow, cow. So then Kamsa asked, anyone would like to go and, kill Krishna in the form of cows or something, some mysterious act, and we can kill Krishna. So Vatsasura was there, and he said, I'll volunteer because I already have a body of a calf, so I'll get easily mixed with other cows, and then I can kill Krishna. So he assured Kamsa that I will be able to kill Krishna. But he had a doubt. He had 1% doubt that he may not be able to kill Krishna because other demons were, smashed to death. So he had a doubt. So he said, anyway, if I'm not killed, then Krishna will not. If I'm not able to kill Krishna, then Krishna will not kill me because I'm in a form of a calf, and so he will leave me. I won't be counted among other demons who were killed and smashed. So this way, when Krishna and Balram were playing, we go back. They were playing, and Vatsasura appeared in the form of a calf and started grazing with the other calves. Now Krishna uh, noticed his herd of calves, and he saw, and because he's all knower, Vedaham Samatitani, Vartamanani cha Arjuna, Bhavishyani cha Bhutani, Mam tu Vedana Kashchana. He's the all knower. So he noticed this is a demon. And then he pointed to Balram. He didn't say anything. In sign language, he pointed to Balram that, look, there's a demon there. And Balram said, well, you cannot kill him because if you kill, then you will mar your reputation for ages to come. How will you explain to people that you killed a calf? So Krishna said, don't worry, I will kill the calf, but he will also assume his original form of demon. So everyone would know that he was a demon. So nobody would say anything to me. So Balram said, okay, go ahead, you kill. So Krishna approached Vatsasura from the rear end, and Vatsasura in the meantime tried to kick Krishna with the hind legs on the chest. But before Vatsasura could do anything, Krishna caught hold of the legs of Vatsasura and twirled around in the air very fast, and threw Vatsasura on the top of the Kapita hill. Now there's a hidden mission why Krishna wanted to hit the Kapita tree, because the boys wanted to enjoy the Kapita fruits. So Krishna aimed at Kapita tree so that they can have fruits. So all the fruits fell, and the cowherds boy clapped and enjoyed, and they're going to enjoy the fruits. They enjoyed Krishna's victory. And in the meantime, demigods also started showering flowers and started blowing trumpets, bugles, their celestial instruments. So after killing Vatsasura, just like in playful nature, the boys teased Krishna. Hey, you killed the calf. Why did you kill a calf? Now you've contaminated yourself. You're contaminated. You're sinful. You killed a calf. And so they said, now you go. For atonement, you go to Ganga and take bath there. So Krishna, who has so much love for Vrindavan, he said, I don't want to leave Vrindavan. Who will leave Vrindavan and go to some other place to take bath in Ganga? So you see, Krishna, we know that Krishna is a supreme personality of Godhead. He cannot be contaminated. And even the boys also knew, because they perfected, realized souls. So they also knew that Krishna is not contaminated. But for the pleasure of the boys, Krishna manifested Ganga through his mind, mana, and therefore it came to known as Manasi Ganga. And this pastime happened on the day of Deepavali. Just as Damodar Lila happened on the day of Deepavali, maybe a year before. And this pastime also took place on the day of Deepavali. And so Mansi Ganga was manifested by Krishna through his mana, mind. So this was the pastime of Vatsasura. So now what does Vatsasura represent? Well, it's very, very deep. It's very, very complex. But we'll try to make the best attempt to understand what this Vatsasura is. In short, Vatsasura is two things. One is immaturity or childish behavior. Second is greed, which arises because of that immaturity. So now, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur in his commentary explains, this is in the book called Krishna Samhita. So he explains that by nature, now actually this statement was in Hindi. So I've translated it in English, but it may have some faults because of my improper understanding. But I've simplified it. By nature, the living entity is sober. But when they attain this material body, they are tormented by this very material body. And then it is called Baladosh or immaturity. This is the anartha that we're going to talk about. So what does it mean? So as a child, children are very sober. They are very simple, they're very innocent. They are always under the control of their parents. They follow their directions. They are obedient. This is the nature of very young children. Now, when they grow and they are about to enter into their teens, or they're entering the teenage years, the hormones start secreting within their body, and it agitates their minds and senses. They become robust. In the sense, if you've ever seen a calf, then calf has the tendency that when it is left by itself, it frolics, it jumps, frolics. It's very difficult to catch it then. Similarly, the tendency to frolic comes in teenage years, because so far we have been under the strict shelter of our parents. Now you want to go and explore out the world. You want to frolic. It's very difficult to capture. So that is what Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is saying, that by nature the living entity is sober. So child is sober. But when they attain this material body, they are tormented by this very material body in the form of hormones, in the form of secretions that take place, in the form of mind which gets agitated. So we are tormented. So that is immaturity. So now in those teenage years, the individual has lots of energy, lots of enthusiasm, lots of strength in the body also, and therefore they have this tendency to get into wrong habits, addictions, attraction to the opposite sex, exploring the world, exploring what is there on the internet, what is available, what we can explore. They have this tendency. Now, if this tendency is not channelized properly, then it's very difficult to control and can become dangerous also. Sometimes youth spoil their lives. When the senses are very uncontrolled, they can spoil their lives. Somebody wants to say smoke cigarette, they get into that habit. They want to drink alcohol. What does the taste of the wine is? So all that inquisitiveness is there. And if it's not channelized, then it can be detrimental to that individual's life. So what do we do now? So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur explains that all we have to do is, I will just read the exact thing. It is a little complicated, but then we'll simplify. The only effective way to protect children from becoming contaminated by sensuality is to engage them in Krishna conscious activities, not just restrict them. Shastra says devotional service is the only protection. The scriptures say that it is not in the power of man to ensure the immunity of boys and girls from the blight of sensuousness, except by means of the service of Krishna. This is declared to be the only effective and natural method. Let the boys be exposed. This is a very beautiful line. Let the boys be exposed to the attraction of the cowherd boys of Raja. By engaging in service, they will gain attraction to Krishna. They will soon learn to pick up his company. They will easily realize that Krishna can alone save them from every form of danger to which they are exposed by the right of juvenile nature. So this is what Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur explains. So we got to simplify it. So it means that we have to train our children from the very beginning in unadulterated, unalloyed devotional service to Krishna. Should not expose them to a lot of other things except for Krishna consciousness, because then they learn to take full shelter of Krishna. So as Prahlad Maharaj says, Kumar Achare Pragyo. That means start from very early age. So if we start from very, very tender age and give them Krishna consciousness, then their senses won't be agitated when they come to that stage. They will always take shelter of Krishna. They will understand, oh, my mind is disturbing me. My senses are disturbing me. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is saying that they will take shelter of Krishna. They will ask for help from Krishna because they know that this juvenile nature is troubling me. And so therefore, all we have to do is expose them to the pastimes of the cowherd boys of Braja, and that will keep them in check. Now, also, we cannot deny that in teenager years, there'll be some energy, there'll be some outburst of energy, there'll be some vitality, there'll be great enthusiasm, so that enthusiasm we have to dovetail in Krishna consciousness, giving them services, giving them engagement, positive engagements, will tame their energy. It will not be negated, but it will have proper channel to be given. So other so now this is what we talk about children. Now this is also very important lesson and learning. The next part is we have teenage years even in our Krishna consciousness. So what is the teenage phase of our Krishna consciousness? So first thing is that when we are very new to Krishna consciousness, very new, just introduced, we are very humble, we are very submissive. That's what we discussed in the beginning also. We're very humble, very submissive. We'll pay danvats here, danvats there, everywhere danvats. We are just ready to obey, follow anyone, whatever they say. So, and we have great enthusiasm also at that time. So, because of that enthusiasm, sometimes it may be, it may not be proper or appropriate. We may give wild ideas, we may not think too much. And out of enthusiasm, in a sense, we may say something. So, but the responsibility of the senior mature Vaishnavas is to not all the time say, hey, don't say like this, hey, don't speak like that, you should do like this, you should not do like this. It's not, senior devotees should not say like that, because they have lots of enthusiasm. Just as if we keep telling children, hey, sit down, why are you keep chatting or keep reading or keep doing something. They have energy, so they want to do. That's a natural propensity. If you restrict them, then that will not lead to any good. It will lead only to frustration. Similarly, these new devotees who are ready to do anything, they should be channelized properly. Their energies have to be channelized and not say, hey, don't do like this. This is wrong. This is right. This is wrong. And they will not even do that much. They will just go away. So similarly, you have to like very intelligently nurture them and bring them to a firm, fixed, mature form of Krishna consciousness. So now from this new phase, from this babyhood phase in Krishna consciousness, we come to the teens phase. What is this teenager phase? This is the initiation phase. We think, I'm initiated now. I can speak anything. I can do anything. I'm free. So we start frolicking, just like the calf. The calf mentality comes. We start frolicking and there's no more submission. I've spent so many years. I can do anything that I want. I know everything. You need not tell me anything. So, and they start to explore other acharyas' books. Srila Prabhupada is so fundamental. Why should I read it? This is for neophytes, new people. I've already graduated. I'm already initiated. Let me just read other acharyas' books. Let me explore different exalted pastimes of the Lord. What happened in the Rasa Lila? What happened here? What happened there? So this mentality comes. Let me go explore the Babaji's Radha Kund. They will, tell me something interesting. So that tendency comes. This is what is the teenage phase of a Krishna consciousness. So we have to understand that Srila Prabhupada's books are for everyone, and this is just so important. One of the devotees who's in whose guidance I was there, she used to be very strict about this, that we have to read Srila Prabhupada's books thoroughly again and again before even approaching any other acharya's books. The books of the other acharyas have to be understood with respect to what Srila Prabhupada has given. And if we read with sincere heart, and if we hear Srila Prabhupada with sincere heart, we will find he has revealed everything that is to be known by us in a very easy manner. So we should never ever think that Srila Prabhupada's books are repetitive or they're too neophyte, too fundamental. That is just not the truth. If we read it, there's great depth, great understanding. And if we read with the right association, we will get what is Prabhupada's mood, what is Prabhupada's uh, why Prabhupada is repeating those words again and again. Why does Prabhupada have to repeat, the body or the soul? Because the acharyas like Rupa, Raghunath, Sanatan Goswamis, they were perfected living beings. They knew, so they could talk about the exalted pastimes of the Lord very easily. They don't have to understand the basics of, who am I? But even though we spend so many years in Krishna consciousness, We are still stuck with the bodily concept of life. We are still stuck with our attachments to this body. It may be in the form of relatives, things, positions, prestige, degrees, whatnot. We're still attached. And therefore, Prabhupada has to repeat again and again, over and again, even for practicing Krishna conscious sadhakas, that you're not this body, you're the spirit soul. The immaturity can also be seen, in the, as it is said, one should be childlike, but not childish. So sometimes we spend so many years in Krishna consciousness and we think, I know everything, and then, I'm, full, I'm like Uttamadhikari. I've spent so many years in Krishna consciousness, 20 years, 30 years in Krishna consciousness, I am Uttamadhikari. But, when we come to Krishna consciousness, more or less everyone would be sincere when they're coming, but not everyone is mature. And number of years spent is not equal to the maturity of the devotee. We can be mature on day one of Krishna consciousness, and we can be immature even after spending so many years in Krishna consciousness. And in that immaturity, we spoil the relationships. We refuse to grow, learn. Authorities are saying, do this. We're like, no, I don't want to do. I know everything. Refuse to see the bigger picture. So this is what is called neophyte mentality. So when devotee Raj Vihari Prabhu is explaining, neophyte means fight. They're always fighting. They're always fighting and complaining. They do. So Prabhupada explains, what is this neophyte? What is this Kanishta Adhikari? They don't respect devotees. They don't regard. They don't give the due respect to the devotees. So now, sometimes you think, okay, not giving respect to devotees means not ignoring them, not inviting them, not, just, not addressing to their presence, basically. But it can be very subtle. Sometimes the authorities are saying, do this, it is good for your Krishna consciousness. Don't do like this because this is not what is our paramparas. Don't do like this because this is what scriptures is saying. But our mind, our immaturity, out of immaturity, we say, no, I know everything. We'll take from one line from here, one line from there, from the scripture, and we'll present it. This is what I feel. This is what I want to do. But we forget that what is the ultimate purpose of my practicing Krishna consciousness? It is to please Krishna. And how is Krishna pleased? Krishna is pleased when the devotees are pleased. And Krishna will not, we are not Arjuna, that Krishna will come personally and he'll say, do this, do that. Krishna will send his messengers, Krishna will send the authorities, Krishna will send the devotees, and they will tell us, do this, do that. And if we do that, then Krishna is pleased automatically. We don't have to think extraneously, we don't have to put extra efforts to do anything for Krishna. Krishna is pleased when devotees are pleased. And there's so many verses glorifying that aspect of Krishna consciousness. So we have to let go of this immaturity. So Prabhuji says that it is our responsibility to make sure that we progress from neophyte to the Madhyam Adhikari level. From Kanishta to Madhyam Adhikari, the transition is our responsibility, and we have to take care of that aspect of our Krishna consciousness. So how do we know who is Madhyam Adhikari, who is Kanishta Adhikari? We talked about a little bit about Kanishta Adhikari. So who is Madhyam Adhikari? Madhyam Adhikari knows that Krishna is there in everyone's heart. So there's culture of respect. He respects everyone. He respects everyone. There's lots of respect. And therefore that person can preach. So what is the formula to preach is to be Madhyam Adhikari. So what are the characteristics of Madhyakari? He has love for Krishna, friendship with the devotees, and compassion for others. That is the formula to preach. And preach doesn't mean that, you just talk about Krishna here and there. It just, that Kanishta Adhikari may also speak something. But preaching means transforming the hearts of people. So if you're transforming hearts, if you're touching lives in a positive way, so that they are coming closer to Krishna, then that is what is effective preaching. And that is what Madhyam Adhikari does. So now there Prabhuji gave two examples of explaining how do we know who is Madhyam Adhikari and who is Kanishta Adhikari. So he gives one thing is when one is given position, how does one react? So Kanishta Adhikari would be like, now they got to know this is what I deserve, this is what I knew. Now they know, now they recognize my potential. This is what I'm supposed to do, to lead. This is what I'm supposed to do. But Madhyam Adhikari thinks this is my this is the opportunity to serve Krishna. This is the opportunity to serve Vaishnavas, and I have to do to the best of my ability to serve them. The second thing is aspect of faults. So when Kanishta is in the position, in the lead position, and he sees the faults, he'll be like, he'll immediately go and say, "Hey, you're doing wrong. Why do you doing? Why are you doing this? You should not do this. You will go. You will have a fall down. Why are you doing like this? Behaving like this? You should not do like this." They will be very rude, very impatient. But Madhyam Adhikari, it's not that they avoid the faults. Madhyam Adhikari is there to correct, help, guide. So they don't overlook the faults. They think that what can I do? How can I tell this person so that this person is not hurt and at the same time attraction towards Krishna is increased. So their only anxiety is how can I bring this person closer to Krishna? And so they depend on Krishna and give guidance, and at the same time they engage the person positively so that Krishna can guide them as super soul to the right path. So this is the immaturity seen, immaturity, Vatsasura mentality amongst individuals. Ravindra Sarup Maharaj explains, Prabhu explains that immaturity can not only be limited to individuals, but it can be also of the community. So how is it seen in community? How do we know the community is Kanishta and not Madhyama? So community is made of individuals. So in each individual, if it's on Madhyam Adhikari level, then eventually community is on Madhyam Adhikari level. And if individuals are on Kanishta Adhikari platform, then they are on Kanishta Adhikari. Then they remain on Kanishta Adhikari platform. The community remains on that. So how do we know that the community is Kanishta? In that community, Prabhu explains that there are no conflicts, there are no fights, no confrontations. That is a pseudo community. It seems like a community, but it is pseudo community. They avoid conflict. It's not that conflicts are not existing, but they avoid conflicts. So instead of residing on a conflict resolution, they reside on the conflict avoidance platform. So what will be the community like? They'll have stereotyped conversations. They're like, Prabhuji, I am a servant of your servant. No, Prabhuji, I'm the servant of your servant. No, no, Prabhuji, I'm your slave. No, Prabhuji, I'm the servant of the servant of the servant, like that. No, Prabhuji, I am always in Maya. So all those stereotyped conversations, speeches will come out and there'll be no conflicts. So how can it be dissolved? How can it be dissolved? We can, first of all, we have to respect that there'll be difference of opinions and giving that safe environment to the community members to express their heart. So one thing is to express, and at the same time, we should also be ready to take guidance. Sometimes the guidance may not be what we are looking for. It may be contrary to what we are thinking, but we should be ready to take it, accept it, and execute it. Then the community will grow. The second thing is very important is that the community members should come together and hear Hari Katha most of the time. And if each community member comes and speaks Harikatha one day, then next day, then next time, the next time, then it requires a great humility to hear someone speak Harikatha. Why? Because the false ego's nature is that I want to speak, I want to speak, I want to be heard. And it is seen in lots of conversations when people are talking to each other and we cut the other person and we start speaking our thing. So this is the way, because the false ego's nature is we want to show that we are superior. So we have to curtail this habit and listen, sit down, listen attentively. By listening attentively, it requires humility. And that way the community will grow. Maturity will come instead of immaturity. So this is what is immaturity or Vatsasura mentality in the community and at individual level. Also, it is explained by Bhakti Saraswati Thakur that, we'll have this black sheets, so everyone, when we come to Krishna consciousness, is sincere more or less, as we discussed, but there'll be some people who will be nuisance, who just want to disturb the community, who are not there for Krishna consciousness. They're always disobeying. That's what is their nature. They always want to disobey. So what do we do? So mature devotees have to be very vigilant and take care that they are not contaminating other innocent people within the community. That is the responsibility of mature devotees, and it really requires a high level of Krishna consciousness and maturity that comes with it, that we will be able to identify and understand. As we were discussing, Kanishka Adhikari, they see the fault and they immediately want to reprimand that person. Also, immaturity can be so deep that sometimes you don't even see who is wrong, who is not right. Because, as we are saying, it requires mature devotee to see who is black sheep, who is not black sheep. It requires mature devotee to channelize the energies within a devotee, new devotee. So similarly, immaturity can be so deeply embedded that a person may not even realize who is wrong, who is right. They will say, "Yeah, everything is right, everything we can do," but but that, uh, but that should not be the idea. We have to, it's a very beautiful formula to attain Godhead. One is simplicity. We should have simple heart, like child, innocence. We should be childlike but not childish. So simple heart. And the second is discrimination against Maya. So we need some amount of discrimination. It's not that Krishna consciousness means everyone is equal, everyone is, good, everything is good. No, we have to be discriminate. We have to discriminate what is favorable for Krishna consciousness and what is not favorable for Krishna consciousness. As we discussed, it requires discrimination. So these two formulas of discrimination and simplicity, if that a devotee has, if these two qualities a devotee has, then he's eligible to enter kingdom of God. So it is so beautiful and deep. So the next part is, which is very small, we'll cover it in a very short, brief way, is that greed. So greed arises out of immaturity. Because as we discussed, Kanishta Adhikari is always after prestige, position, respect, honor. So then the greed will arise. Why am I not getting this? If I get this, then I want more, 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 more. So that is what is Vatsasura representing. And then after that, subsequent sinful activities also happen. Because to attain something, by hook or crook, we want it. The desire is very strong, the desire is very outrageous. So we want it by hook or crook. So sinful activities will also happen. So now greed in Krishna consciousness can be of two types. Again, one is which is desirable, which is spiritual. As we discussed in the first session, it has to be lolyam, which is required, the greed which is required to purchase devotional service. So that lolyam is what we need. But the other lolyam is for looking for prestige, looking for honor, looking for wealth in Krishna consciousness. So we know there are many stories that have happened, unfortunately, where devotees have only cheated other devotees for money. Some devotees trouble other devotees for position, prestige. That happens. And we have to again learn to identify it so that we don't go to that stage of greed. And what is this greed? Greed is simply a reflection of vacuum in the heart. There's a big vacuum, big hole in the heart. And this is because of lack of Krishna consciousness. So some people try to fill it with some position, some honor. Some people just want to eat. Some people just want to go out and do something wild. So we are trying to fill this vacuum by different activities. So there's a beautiful verse in Srimad Bhagavatam, and we'll conclude with that, is that Vidura is saying in Srimad Bhagavatam 3:5-2, Vidura uvacha sukhaya karmani karoti loko nate sukham van yaduparamam va vindeta bhuyastata dukkam yad atra yuktam bhagavan vadindava. So Vidura is saying this 5,000 years back that People are looking for happiness. People are looking for happiness, but they're not getting happiness. There's so much of endeavor, but no happiness. So they thought, okay, if you're not getting happiness, so khaya karmani karoti loko. What is the loco? What is loco? The worldly people doing? They're looking for happiness. They're working for happiness. So khaya karmani. So now they're not getting happiness. Natai sukham vanyad uparam mam. So what do? They are thinking, at least let me get some relief from the from the dukkhas or the miseries. But they're also not getting that relief. They're getting even more dukh. Vinde tabhuyas tata eva dukkham. They're getting even more dukh. So then Vidura is asking, Yad atrayuktam bhagavan vadena. What should be done? Oh, Maitra Rishi, what should be done? What is the solution to all this? So that's why people have this greed and it is not satisfied. There's a vacuum, big vacuum. And how do we fill this vacuum? And why is this vacuum? Janasya Krishna Vimukhasya Deva. Vidura is again saying that because these Jana, these people, have turned their faces away from Krishna, so therefore there is a vacuum. So when we fill our hearts with Krishna consciousness, when we fill our hearts with Hari Katha, unalloyed devotional service, then this greed will be dispelled. Then we will have only spiritual greed, the desirable greed. We will not have undesirable greed. So all we have to do is constantly dwell in the pastimes of Lord Krishna. And that is the solution. And as we discussed, we have to meditate on these pastimes and take active responsibility to transcend transform ourselves from immature devotee to mature devotee. So we'll end Vatsasura here. It was very heavy and very important also. And we'll discuss Yamuna Arjun pastimes now.
Thank you so much, Manjulali. Yeah. There's a lot of lessons and information to digest. So I think let's take some reflections before and if we move forward. But we don't want to kind of just bombard with information without digesting it, because we are not like cows that we take a lot and then after ruminate the rest of the day. We need to take it step by step. So let's hear from all the devotees present. So anything really struck you, or any comments you have, any reflections? Let's ruminate what we have heard. Anything really? Oh yeah, please raise your hands and so we can take one by one. Yes, Kashish Mataji, please.
Hey Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam Mataji. It was very wonderful class. You have taken up a topic which is really relevant with my condition, as I'm an absolute neophyte. Sometimes I get bewildered, dwindling. So these are very normal conditions, struggling between unseen, uh, unseen faith and the surroundings. So it was really very helpful for a mental pathway, a direction that what should be the right and wrong, and how should I progress. Thank you so much. It was wonderful. Thank you so much, Mataji.
Thank you. Thank you so much. These are there, as Manjulali mentioned and quoted by the Prabhu. But yes, everyone has to go through. It's not that you have or I have. Every sincere person, it's like if we have to graduate, can we bypass, 5th grade, 10th grade and just graduate from first to college? If someone is proposing that, it's a cheating business, correct? So we have to progress through those stages. Same applies in bhakti, and as we keep moving, the challenges will come, obstacles will come, the demons inside will howl. So we have to. It applies for everyone, but a sincere person, and that's actually the real mood. That yes, that I have these shortcomings and I need to work on those. Thank you. Vaswati Mataji, want to please share your thoughts?
Pranam Prabhuji and Mataji, very nice class, very helpful. And I have a teenager. So you talked about how should we behave with the teenager and the directions should tell them to follow. And the example you gave for cowherd boys, like to know their pastimes and the cowherd boys. So it's very nice, Mataji. Thank you very much. I have two questions. So first question is, so Vatsasura, what I learned from this class is Vatsasura intent represents first the animal killing, like that's animal killing propensity, and the second the represents the calf mentality, and it comes with in a material world as a teenager that um, um, like that directions, it goes to that direction that represents. So am I correct, Mataji?
No, no, not fully. I mean, we discussed cow slaughter, but it was when Vatsasura was in the demoniac body, and it is just a lesson which is drawn from that lesson in the sense that the understanding of why he wanted cow was animal or slaughter, basically to slaughter it and use it to eat, drink blood, flesh, etc. Whatever. So that is just an understanding of why he wanted the cow. But Vatsasura, as Acharyas explained to us, is there are two things. To simplify, there are two things. One is immaturity, and second is greed, which arises due to that immaturity. And from greed arises the sinful activities that we will, do eventually to fulfill our greed. So basically, it's greed and immaturity. And also, Acharyas explained that we have to also discriminate. Yes, this is another aspect that acharyas also inform us to discriminate and not be naive and stay away from people who may be innocent looking, appearing very humble, but having evil intentions. So there are some certain people who come to Krishna consciousness somehow. Actually, this is a very heavy word that I think Govinda Maharaj used in his lecture, the dushta bhaktas. Now, this is very contradictory. How can bhaktas be dusht? You also said that. But there are certain people who somehow come to Krishna consciousness and have very evil intentions. So, sometimes when we come to bhakti and we like, hey, everyone is good, everyone is equal. It's not like that. We have to understand who is sincere and who is just, killing their time here in Krishna consciousness, passing some years. You have to be very, very careful of that. So that discrimination also we need, and that is also again we can connect it to maturity. So immaturity we have to dispel in consciousness. I hope that helps.
Yes, Mataji, thank you. Mataji, so those are they called karmi? Those immature? No.
See, Lord Chaitanya has given us definition of devotees, and one of the primary definitions is that whoever chants Hare Krishna has to be respected. So we cannot call them karmis in one sense, but sometimes the baggage is too heavy probably. Shaktas mentality is too heavy that they're not able to understand or do anything about it or even reflect. So as devotees, we have to be introspective. One thing that I was hearing was in Nectar of Instruction, there's in text 3, there word comes sato vritte. Sato means devotees, good, pious people. Sato means devotee, and vritte means inclination. Inclination to what? What inclination does a devotee have? It is to please Krishna or to render devotional service or to increase their devotional service. Now, when Sato Vritte, so the devotee was explaining that, we have to find people in the movement also who are very sincere, who have the same inclination as our. So if our inclination is to progress in Krishna consciousness, we have to find that those people who have that same inclination, same mindset, that kind of commitment, enthusiasm to serve Krishna, unalloyed devotional service, selflessness, no ulterior motives. All that we have to really find even amongst devotees and associate with them and increase our propensity to serve Krishna. So there'll be a lot of different people who will come with different backgrounds, different baggages in Krishna consciousness. Once in Mayapur, I think in every 4 years or 5 years, they do Maha Abhishek of the big deities of Panch Tattva. So most of my friends had gone for that, and they said that, you know, a lot of devotees were pushing each other at that time. A lot of devotees were pushing to see the Abhishek. The hall was jam-packed because it happens every 5 years. So it is a grand program. A lot of people come. A lot of devotees were there. They're pushing. And so they told their mentors, our mentors, that Mataji, Prabhuji, they were pushing us like that. So then Prabhuji said, it's simple as that. You know, Krishna is not pleased when the devotees are pushing each other. Krishna is pleased when we give the other devotee the opportunity to see the Abhishek. So they are not really devotees, but they are coming, so they will get some credit, which is also there. Krishna will see that they've come so far, and in that crowd, they are, tolerating each other to some extent. So Krishna will also see that. So, our thing is that we have to just take care of ourselves. Until someone is under our care, and we have the right to correct them, we should not really think we're Karmis or not Karmis. Anyone who chants Hare Krishna, we have to give all respect, because this is what Lord Chaitanya orders. So we have to do. We have to also follow that. So don't worry about what they are not. We have to understand that we have to be careful of whose association we are taking. And association just doesn't mean physical proximity. Association means revealing our hearts, revealing our minds. If we go to office, we may work with a lot of people, but if we are revealing our mind and heart to them, then that is association. If we are not, if we are just going, do the work, come back, and revealing our hearts to a mature devotee, and that is association. So association just doesn't mean we sit physical next to each other in devotee community eating prasad. That's association. We took devotee association. That is not association. Association means really exchanging the hearts, taking instructions, following, executing. I hope that helps, Mataji.
Okay, Mataji, thank you. I'm taking more time, but I have another question to ask. Can I ask?
Let's see if anyone else has any comments or questions. If not, then we'll come back.
Okay.
But your questions are very genuine. Thank you, Mataji. Anyone else wants to share something?
Mataji, Hare Krishna. I just opened the blogs of Krishna, and there I was reading that Vatsasura is a childish type of mentality which gives rise to a type of greediness which results in a weak type of mischievousness. So actually reading that multiple times, I did not understand or grab anything unless I listened to whole thing, though there's some interruption. So then I understood something. So that made me humble in that way, that there is in Krishna consciousness, to be humble, we have to keep listening and listening. I feel that that is the only way to keep us humble, because a lot of things to learn. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much for that.
This is the process of hearing. Shravanadija is the process of watering. If we have to water our Bhaktilata beach, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says we are gardeners. We have to be like gardeners, and like gardener has to water the plants, creepers, etc. Similarly, we have to water our Bhaktilata with Shravan Adija. Taha vistarita hane phale prema phala, iha mali seche nitya Shravan Adija. So then the fruit of Krishna Prem, the creeper will keep growing, and all the way back to Goloka Vrindavan. So Shravan is the most important. Lord Maharaj also says in the 9 limbs, the first one is Shravana. Thank you for your realization, Prabhu. Anyone else wants to say something or add any reflections? Vilas Prabhu had a comment. You wanted to say something?
Yes, Prabhuji, very heavy topic, and thank you, Mataji, for doing wonderful justice to this topic. So we hear two sides of it, right? Sometimes we hear that however amount of time we spend in Krishna consciousness, we should have the enthusiasm of a neophyte. And in this sense, neophytes have some bad qualities also, and that we have to come over and go to the Madhyama Adhikari stage. So how do we understand and balance these two methods?
Yeah, so as we know again from, I'll quote again, Lecture of Instruction, text 3, Utsahadharyatnascha tat karma pravartanat sangatyaga sato vritte shadbhir bhakti prasiddhati. So again, this is so important. Rupa Goswami is saying that we have to have utsaha to continue on devotional service. So we come to the first session of this seminar. Why am I here for? Pure devotional service. And if I'm here for pure devotional service, then I should have the confidence, nishchay, confidence that this is the path which will take me to Krishna. Just as yesterday only I was giving this example that if I have to go from here to New York and I know the way, I know the route that I have to take, and I follow that route, that means I have confidence that this is the route that will take me. Now, then I will get the enthusiasm automatically to drive because I know the route. If I don't know the route, I was like, where should I go? Where should I not go? Let me not drive. No enthusiasm. That enthusiasm will come. And then I need to be patient also. I need to be patient. That means dharya. I have to keep dharya. So nishchay is confidence or faith. Then or determination, or utsaha, and then utsaha is enthusiasm, and dharya is patience. So patience, it's not that I will reach New York in 1 hour drive. It will take some time. It will take some hours, couple of hours, and then I will get there. So similarly in bhakti also, we have to understand what am I here for? Krishna consciousness, pure devotional service. And when I come to this path of pure devotional service, then what is required of me? If my goal is fixed, then I will have enthusiasm to go on. And enthusiasm, how do we know the devotee is enthusiastic? The devotee who dances the most in kirtan, is he enthusiastic? Yes, one way, yes. Externally, it may appear the devotee is enthusiastic. But sustained enthusiasm, how do we identify is that by the constant commitment. So the devotee is constantly committed in Krishna consciousness, constantly trying to improve or propagate Krishna consciousness. This commitment, that is enthusiasm. So in long run, our enthusiasm will be depicted by our commitment to Krishna consciousness, to propagate Krishna consciousness, to always be ready to improve ourselves. Because in the spiritual world, even gopis are expanding. They're also trying to improve themselves. They're also expanding their services. So who are we? We have a long way to go to get there, even to the perfected stage. So we have to have that commitment and enthusiasm to carry on. See, in our life, it will be commitment to go on, to follow our vows, to propagate Krishna consciousness, to be truthful and to be loyal to this parampara. That is our enthusiasm. And then we have to be patient also, because in overnight we will not develop love of Godhead. It will take some years, and then we will get there. I really hope that helps, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji, very nice. Thank you so much.
One point, His Grace Adigar Prabhu was one time mentioning that we should always have this apprentice mentality. That means always eager to learn, understand that I am vulnerable, understand that I am prone to downfall, I am not Achyuta. That mood is very good. But at the same time, it's not that, okay, we have to try to grow also. Grow in the sense like be eager, as Manjulali explained, be eager for more service, be eager. It's not that if someone, like says, hey, do you want to do this? No, I'm very neophyte. I'm good for nothing. So maybe in the beginning, we don't know, but there should be eagerness, how I can do, how I can support, how I can take the anxiety. We were talking yesterday also, day before, how I can take the anxiety of the Lord Chaitanya and share what I have received in the right spirit. So to our seniors, we always have that mentality that I am, um, I want to learn more, I want to do better. Please correct me. But to then, because after some time there will be new devotees coming, and new people will be joining. But we have to share what we have received also. So there's a fine balance, and and we have to nicely adjust those and be child like, not childish. It's a very deep statement. Be, and I really like that. I've heard it from multiple devotees. Be childlike, simplicity, non-duplicity, honesty, straightforwardness, not childish. Childish means, uh, you know children, right?
Neophyte,
Neophyte.
fighting, complaining,
Yeah.
that mentality of to give up.
If they don't get candy, they'll throw tantrums, and that's childish mentality.
So if we don't get position, we may get why they're not giving me. We get frustrated, not tolerate all that, angry. That should not happen.
Okay. Anyone else has any other comments, questions, realizations, thoughts?
Also, Bhakti Vinod Thakur explains in one of his songs that with Kanishtadhikari, I offer respects. I stay away, I offer respects. With Madhyamadhikari, I form friendship. I stay close to them, take their association, form friendships. And with Uttam Adhikari, I take instruction. So this is the way we have to conduct ourselves in the community of, and that doesn't mean that we are, putting someone down. That is not the mentality. Mentality is that what is good for my devotional service. If I associate too much with Kanishta Adhikari, then I'll also become complaining. I'll also, disrespect others. I'll also have become a little low in my spiritual consciousness. So then we don't want to take the association, but we want to respect them because they're there, they're coming, Krishna. So we respect them. That is there. But with Madhyamadhikari, we reveal our heart, we have our exchanges, we make friendships. Even we can take instructions from Madhyamadhikari and then we take instructions from Uttamadhikari for sure. Just the way Bhaktivinoda Thakur outlines.
Thank you. Anyone else has any other thoughts, additions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, and Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you so much for a wonderful session. I really learned a lot. I really like the way you said even a neophyte can be matured, and a devotee who has spent decades can be immature. Yeah, I really like that point, and also I feel myself like even after few years, I kind of have that inability, like in not up to the point of a devotee. So how can we? I know you already said. How can we develop and to remove those bad qualities? What you can say from the heart. Of course, you kind of already explained. But
So, how can we remove? So, we have to, first of all, not feel bad that we have that. Sometimes we overburden our hearts and we fail to accept that we have that. And when we accept, sometimes we feel very ashamed. There's no need to be ashamed because, as we discussed, this anartha nivritti is one of the stages of devotional service. So it's a progressive stage. And so there's nothing to be ashamed of, but accepting it, understanding that I have, and then not feeling ashamed, but doing something about it. So one aspect is to meditate or pray intensely that I have this. Second thing is always be open to we should have just one devotee, at least one devotee with whom we can share our heart and and take instructions and then follow it. It's not just, receiving instructions, but it's also executing the instructions. So we should be ready. And sometimes it may not make sense. Not everything may make sense to us. But Arjuna also, for everything, he didn't understand in the first go, but he kept asking Krishna, Krishna, what can I do? Is it correct? Is this renounce or life correct? Or is this devotional service correct? What is correct? He asked 2-3 times. See to the beginning of the theme of the chapters, we see that Arjuna asked 2-3 times. Of course, he asked for the benefit of others, but the point is that he was very humble in all these questions. He was very humble. So we have to have that humility if we really want to progress in Krishna consciousness. See, if we have some anartha, then is anyone else being obstructed by my anartha? No, I am being obstructed by my own anartha. So if my goal is Krishna Prema, then I do everything that is required of me to get that Krishna Prema. And Krishna is very kind to everyone. If we are sincere, then Krishna will provide ample opportunities or guidance to us through different mediums, and then we can progress. So we have to depend on Krishna, and at the same time, if someone is giving us uh, instruction, then we also have to execute it. Then secondly, how Vaishika Prabhu says, or everyone says that if some situation is there, then we have to think, what is the lesson in this for me? And if we're always thinking like this, then we're always on the learning curve. So we're always learning, and we are not stopping at some point. And we are learning from the worst situations also. We also read Journey Home. His Holiness Radha Maharaj learned from even the worst situations in life. He was always open. What did I learn? Or maybe I learned this. So we have to be also very vigilant. Okay, if this is happening, or some devotees is saying like this, what is in it for me? And if you're always humble, ready to take instructions, and praying intensely that Krishna, please help me progress, I really want to do, and meditating on this pastime of how Krishna killed the Vatsasura, twirling around through it, praying intensely, then Krishna's mercy, it will be overcome. But we have to have that desire, identification, desire, sincerity, accepting guidance, and then we will be able to do gradually. Also, association, close association. Again, association doesn't mean physical proximity, but understanding. By observing very mature devotees, also we can learn a lot. I learn mainly by observing devotees or observing anything in life. So observing how their conduct is, or understanding the mood of Srila Prabhupada. Just by reading Prabhupada's books, we will get the mood. There'll be no there'll be no confusions. We read very thoroughly and very, very vigilantly, scrutinizingly, as Prabhupada says. My books have to be read very scrutinizingly. Prabhupada's books are law books for 10,000 years, so we can understand the potency of these books. They're good for 10,000 years until this golden age is there. So, getting what Prabhupada wants us, understanding the mood of our spiritual master, will help us mature. I hope that helps you, Radzi.
Certainly will. All these points, if we deeply introspect and sincerely try, we will fail. We again try. We will fail, like a child trying to learn bicycle, or any skill for that matter, cooking or anything we learn. We will fail. It's not that the first time we try we will be perfect. If we would have been perfect, then we would have not been in this world. So we all have some or the other. In somewhere, X problem may be a little more. In some case, Y problem will be a little more, and X will be a little less. But we are all different combinations of anarthas. Kale dosha nidhe rajan. It's the but as she wonderfully said, all these points, and being ready to accept that I am vulnerable, trying and
And not be
observing,
ashamed also.
not be ashamed,
Yeah.
and continue to move forward, continue, and then with sincere prayers, with sincere effort, with sincere desire to improve, you'll certainly get there. Nothing happens automatically, right? It's like you want to have prasadam and think like automatically it will appear, and automatically with time, okay, if I just stay in Krishna consciousness, everything will go, all the impurities will go. I mean, yes, maybe after millions of lifetimes, if we just stay, but if we actively stay, how do we stay in Krishna consciousness is also a big thing. One who comes once on Janmashtami and chants Hare Krishna is also a devotee, right? That's what Lord Chaitanya, one who chants once is devotee. So anyone said Hare Krishna is devotee. But anyone who is sincerely trying every day, every moment to be Krishna conscious, that person is also devotee. Will their progress rate be different? Absolutely. Their progress rate would be different because they are taking the subject differently. Their mood to approach Krishna consciousness is different. So as we approach, Krishna will reciprocate accordingly. If we approach with sincerity, humility, eagerness, I live to be corrected, Vishishka Prabhu says, I live to be corrected. So you're all trying that journey and we're trying. Any last comments or addition? Does that okay?
Yes,
Excellent.
Thank you, Mataji. Excellent.
Yeah,
I tend to talk a lot, so I have to.
So now we will start the Yamunarjuna. Just kidding. I know you may have other things as well. So maybe next time we didn't want to just cover information, but we wanted to have some meaningful discussions as well. So thank you so much for your wonderful comments, realizations, and patiently listening. All these, she has done a lot of hard work and to share this with all of us. And I am also learning, and as she is hearing it, so I'm also in the same shoes as all of you, and trying to think about my shortcomings and so many. So thank you again for your presence, association, and we are so grateful to all of you.
I have one question. This is Arundhati Mataji. Next time when you come to Bonking Prabhuji's house, can I get the book of Srila Prabhupada's book that you talk about, so I can read about him, what he wrote about Krishna?
Sure.
I don't have that book.
We can certainly arrange. I'll call you and we can arrange, because there are like 100 books, but which one specifically you would like, I can certainly. We can
Okay,
arrange
I need. All right,
Sure,
then.
sure.
You can guide me which one will be the best,
Sure,
then
sure.
I can start reading. Thank
Sure,
you so
sure.
much.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Bhaswati Mataji, I think.
If somebody has to leave, they can leave. It will just take a question.
Yeah, I think. If someone has some stuff to take care, please don't feel obliged. I understand. We understand that you may have things to take care, but Bhaswati Mataji wanted to ask something, so please.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you. Mataji, I may not understand correctly, but can you please tell me, like when you said Kanishta Adhikari and Madhyam Adhikari, so you said how we will know the community who's Kanishta Adhikari, like you said like they will say, I'm your servant of servants, and then he will repeat, no Prabhuji, I'm your servants. So Mataji, this is like is that stereotype, like we have to like obey senses all the time and be humble at the same time, Mataji? So can you please tell me, like I may not understand correctly, like what you wanted to say. I'm sorry, Mataji, I'm very.
So we were talking about society. So society sometimes have these stereotype conversations or speeches, So the point is that they're not really feeling it, but they're saying it. So they don't mean it, but they're saying it because it is just so much embedded in our external consciousness. And Prabhupada very simplifies in Prabhupada books. You find this description of Kanishta, Madhyam, Uttam Adhikari, but over a period of time, you will also realize there are more layers to them. And as we were discussing, the Kanishta means that they just see the deity, they don't respect devotees. Madhyam Adhikari is one who respects the devotees and the deities. And Uttam Adhikari thinks everyone is a pure devotee. He's like first class devotee, Kanishta is third class devotee. But even because we are all individuals and we cannot be like really, stereotyped to one particular definition, we may have certain Kanishta mentality even after, we may, as I mentioned, sometimes we are with devotees and devotees are saying, do this, do that. But we're like, no, I will do, and in the hearts we're thinking, I'll do whatever I feel like doing. So we are disrespecting devotees in one sense. Not we're really valuing them. Or if some devotees say something which is against my desires, I may become very angry, or I may answer back or retort or not talk to them at all. So all those things will come. But respecting devotees means really meaning it and acting on that level because it pleases Krishna. So Madhyavadikari has love for Krishna. There's some love for Krishna, and therefore he can respect devotees also. I hope that helps.
Okay, Mataji. I understood. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That okay? So everything. So we will pause here. If that's okay. Prabhuji, you unmuted. You wanted to say something?
Yeah, just to say Haribol to you, Prabhuji and Mataji. 3 times Haribol to Subhash Prabhuji and Om Mataji. Haribol, Haribol.
Haribol.
Haribol. Haribol.
Bhagavatam Puran ki jai, Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Bhagavacharya ki jai.
Jai Shri Guru Gauranga. Gaur Premanande Hari Bol.
Hare
Krishna Kripa Sindhu Devi
Namaha Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namah. Thank you so much.